Welcome back to episode 22 of Science in Sports. I'm your host, Simon Heidenreich. My guest today is Kostas Stratakis, strength and conditioning coach for Železničar Lajkovac, the newly crowned champions of the Serbian First Division in women's volleyball. He holds 2 master's degrees, is a certified strength and conditioning specialist, and a certified performance and sports scientist. With experience at the highest level of competition and a strong academic foundation, Kostas brings a unique blend of evidence-based thinking and real-world application. His work focuses on in-season training strategies, fatigue management, and keeping athletes performing at their peak throughout long and demanding campaigns. Have fun in the episode. This podcast is presented by Like Me, your partner for social media and online marketing from Weiden, and Praxis im Salzhaus, your contact for physiotherapy and health in Altenstadt. Kostas, thanks for joining me today on my podcast, Science in Sports. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself, about your past, where you worked in as a strength and conditioning coach, and maybe also a little bit about your background in sports in general?
Yes, for sure. First of all, thank you for inviting me, Simon. It's a pleasure to talk with you about sport and the thing we love the most, like strength and conditioning. So, my background is, let's say, I started the strength and conditioning 7 years ago. Back then, I was working in a fitness studio and I was playing basketball. And it was a crossroad, so I had a decision to make, or to continue playing basketball in a, let's say, in a middle level, or to start investing more time and energy to the strength conditioning and then fitness. Back then it was fitness, now it became strength conditioning. So I took the second decision, and back then I was in like second year of my university studies. So I tried to accumulate as much knowledge as possible, and I did that through like a lot of courses and certifications. So back then I was doing the Perform Better certification and the EXOS and the FMS and everything I could. And at the same time, I was working practically with clients, like fitness, not strength conditioning, but I was trying to accumulate as much experience as possible, and this is what I did. And one day, without knowing, one of my clients was actually um, the head coach of the women's national team of water polo in Serbia, and she asked me if I would like to join, and for sure, like I accepted immediately, and this is where my journey in strength conditioning started. I was in water polo in Serbia in the national team, and also in Red Star in women. And then, like, fun enough, I was doing my own podcast, but it wasn't as good as yours. It was more like Instagram lives with various strength conditioning coaches from EuroLeague, from basketball. And I decided after every podcast to contact everyone and each of them, and to say basically that if an opportunity pops out, I would be more than happy to join. And uh, one of them was Reggie Fallon, the strength conditioning coach of Maccabi Tel Aviv, and was kind enough to recommend me in a team in Israel, playing First Division, and also playing Balkan League. So that was my first job outside of Serbia. And then after that, I was, I was there for a season. We had a pretty good year. Then I came back to Serbia. I was working a little bit for the youth of Partizan and the developmental team of Partizan in basketball. And the next year, I went back to Israel. That was the last season, actually. I went back to Israel, but unfortunately, due to the war, I had to leave, and I went to Athens. And this is where I started working with water polo again in Vouliagmeni. It's a very good water polo team in Greece, in Athens. Both men and women were competing for the Champions League and also for the title in the Greek league. And then after that, like this season, I'm in Serbia. I'm working for the Železničar Lajkovac from Lajkovac. It's a volleyball team competing in the first division here in Serbia, and also we should play the CEF Cup, which is the second tier competition in Europe. But unfortunately, we didn't do it for some like let's say internal reasons. And yeah, while I was doing all of this, I finished my studies, my bachelor, and I got two master degrees from sport and physical education and also sports medicine. And I'm now in the last year of my PhD studies. Actually, my PhD is not in sports; it's in physical activity and its effects on mental health. So basically, long story short, this is my journey until now.
Thank you for your brief introduction. You mentioned a lot introducing yourself with your background in basketball, water polo. Now you're a strength and conditioning coach in the Serbian First Volleyball Women's League, if I'm correct. And you
Right.
said that you are the strength coach from, sorry for my bad pronunciation, maybe, Selesnika Lajkovac.
Exactly. Exactly.
We
Actually,
said
your
we
pronunciation is very good.
Thank you. We said we want to talk a little bit about the role of an strength and conditioning coach during the season. So, my first question for you would be how a typical week looks like for you during the season in Lajkovac.
Yeah, for sure. So, to me, this is always an interesting topic, especially like in season, like the role of strength and conditioning coach. So it depends. Basically, the number one thing, um, it's like if we play double competition or like if we play two games per week or one game per week. So basically, most of the season we've been playing one game per week, but we had a period of time in which we were competing in the Serbian Cup. So in that period, we would play like two games per week. Um, like I like to separate the week in three sections. Like it's a recovery from the game, it's the developmental period, and it's the preparation for the game or the tapering, however you want to call it. Um, so let's start after the game. After the game, most of the time it would be a day off. Um, I like to do my compensatory sessions directly after the game if the possibility presents to me. So, we're going to split the players in groups, the group that played and group that did not play or did not play enough. And according to that, we're going to do directly after the game our compensatory sessions. This is like a strategy I've been using for a while now in all sports because I believe that the stress has to go with the stress and the
Mhm.
recovery with the recovery. But if we don't have this chance, this opportunity to do it, then the the day after the game, we're going to do exactly the same thing, and the players that played a lot are going to have like a off day or a recovery session, and the players that they don't play, they have to come and do the compensatory session, and then of course doesn't matter if it's a lifting or if it's a lifting with like some kind of conditioning, but this is how it goes in general, and then the day after that, a game day plus two, we start bringing the players back again together, doing the same thing. So the game day plus two would be like, let's say, an introductory day. Um, there is a big difference working in volleyball and working in basketball, for example, because back in the days when I was working in basketball, I would implement this like microdosing approach. So basically, every day we would do something with the players. But now in the system we are right now, actually we have like two bigger gym sessions, and of course some microdosing through the warm-ups. But the gym sessions are only two, and in basketball will be basically doing gym almost every day, before or after practice, depending on many factors, on the need analysis process in general. So the game day plus two is going to be an introductory day. We're going to do our one of the two like gym sessions there in the morning,
Mhm.
and we're going to do also in the morning some kind of like, let's say, skills work, but without a lot of jumping and stuff, like still giving time for players to recover. And in the afternoon, we're going to do again the team session, but without again a lot of jumping. Like the main variable in volleyball is jumping, so this is the variable we try to manipulate the most. Um, the day after that, we're going to have game day plus 3. We're going to have only one practice, and this is going to be like, let's say, the high intensity but relatively lower volume or middle volume practice, in which we're going to try to hit the cardiovascular system hard, and also it's going to be a good amount of jumps and everything. But in general, the practice is not going to last like a lot. And then game day plus 4. It's our hardest day of the week, in which we're doing a double practice. We have also a gym. Of course, I try to manage things there. But in general, this high intensity, high volume day, in which we have the highest load of the week. And from there, we're going to try to manage it down and taper for the game. So basically, long story short, this is how a typical week looks for us in volleyball, like this season.
You just said you split the week in three parts: recovery,
Exactly.
redevelopment, and the preparation for the next game. How do you monitor your training in those three phases during the week?
Yeah, so this season we have the chance to work to have like first beat.
Mhm.
First beat has done us has done a lot for us when it comes to the load monitoring and management. As you know, I'm pretty sure you're familiar with first beat. It's
Yes, I
um,
am.
yeah, they have great insights and they
Yeah.
have a great software. They have like parameters for the external and internal load. So they have the movement load, which some kind of like accumulative load. Of course, it cannot be further separated to, like, let's say, jumps and accelerations and the cells and all of this thing. But we have a number at least to monitor, an accumulative number. And of course, when it comes to the internal load, besides the classical zones, we have the TRIMP, which is again an accumulative number for the internal load. And we have also the internal load per minute, which and also we have the movement load per minute, which is like a density kind of metric. So it quantifies intensity, but through density, not through output. So basically, besides that, also we have the RP, which is also a subjective measure, which we combine with the internal load parameters of the first speed,
Mhm.
and we have many ratios. And overall, with those metric, we try to quantify the load of our players.
So you adjust your training based on the different matches, the travel schedule, or also now the
Yes,
playoff.
exactly. Exactly, especially when the schedule is much more dense. Like now in playoffs that we play 3 days per week. I believe that precision and individualization is everything. So let's say in season, the best example of load management would be the game day, because we try to give the players the same amount of stress. So the players that they did not get it through the game itself, they are going to do their compensatory session. And the same thing holds truth now for the playoffs, because we play every 3 days. So we try to compensate for the load for the players that did not play either during the game day or game day plus one. It depends again on the scenario. It depends on if we play in home court or like outside of our home court. But in general, like through the parameters that we follow, we have a very clear picture of the amount of stress, both the internal and external, that our players went through, and we try
Mhm.
to compensate for that through those like compensatory sessions. But besides that, throughout the week, if we see that a player gets substituted a lot throughout our live playing, we try immediately after the practice is over to compensate for that load And again, like First Beat is doing great job for us because with First Beat we have the ability to see those metrics in live and react accordingly in a real time.
Yeah, first beat is a huge factor in my opinion as well. We also use it in our ice hockey team here, and you have a load of data you can compare and you can use for adjusting load and adjusting, yeah, just training tools to get your players in the right shape at the right time. In my eyes, volleyball is a pretty unique sport. You have a high jump frequency, you have a lot of stress on the shoulder. I've never played it professionally, but you're my expert now. How do you keep the non starting players physically ready if they have to play? If you say you do a compensatory session, how do you work with that?
Yeah, so I believe in every sport you have to hit the right parameters.
Hmm.
So, for example, let's say in football, I guess I haven't been in football, but I've read a lot about like load monitoring in football. Like the key parameter to follow is, let's say, the sprinting, or the sprinting speed, the amount of sprinting they've done, or the amount of running they've done above a certain threshold. In basketball, could be the cells, accels, or but in volleyball, it's more jumping. It's all about jumping. It's a main parameter to look at. Besides the liberos are very unique positions, and let's say might be more appropriate to look into accels and decels when it comes to liberos. But when it comes to all the other positions, like the main parameter to look at are the jumping. So again, when it comes to first speed, we don't have an insight when it comes to the amount of jumps they'll be doing. But again, we have the accumulative load, and we can see the amount of load we need to compensate for.
Hmm.
And my compensatory sessions are all about jumping. So I'm using like the different hit weapons as they are defined in an amazing book of Martin Bousset and Paul Orsen, the Science and Application of Heat Training. If I'm not mistaken, this is the name. It's an amazing book, and I recommend it highly. And yeah, I use different hit weapons. It might be hit short or repeated hit intervals, like something like that. So they're going to have the work interval and the rest interval, which actually the work to rest ratio is going to be less than an actual game. So the work is going to be more and the rest is going to be less because I want to compensate in a time efficient manner. So let's say a game in volleyball can last up to 2.5 hours, of course, with all the timeouts and with the
Hmm.
breaks and with video checking and everything, but I try to compensate everything, let's say, in 25 to 30 minutes. So I'm going to give a random example. If a player has a movement load of 100 and the player in their position have a movement load of 250 or 300, I'm going to try to get them into that amount. And
Yeah.
somebody could argue against and say, you know what, but this player might never reach that amount, but I want them to be ready for the worst case scenario in every given moment. So let's say I'm going to split it into depends from 3 to 6 minutes of a working set, and I'm going to do a few of those. And every working set is going to have this certain work to rest ratio, and I'm going to try um, to give them movements that they have in their sport, to prescribe movements that they have in the sport. So it's going to be a lot of jumping, some change of direction and speed, and this is how I'm going to compensate with a load that they are missing.
How is your relationship then, or your communication with your athletes, especially those who aren't getting as much court time? I know it from my own experience as a hockey player. It's also mentally exhausting if you don't have enough time in your eyes as a player. How do you keep the communication in the positive direction? How do you treat your players, that they follow you, that they know for what it's good for them, that they can trust you?
Yeah, this is an excellent question, actually, and I'm very happy that you asked that, because it's for sure something that it's not easy to manage at all, because we've been athletes in the past. You were an athlete, I was an athlete, so we know how it is not playing, and how it affects the psychological part. So it's all about having an open conversation with the players, and you know, being in the same path. So our goal is, besides winning, developing. And in the beginning of the season, I was very open about my whole system and my strategies to developing players and keep players ready for playing at all times. So after the game, and this is the reason why I try to be time efficient. I'm like, you know what? Uh, you're coming in the gym, we're doing that in 20 minutes, you're going back home, and tomorrow it's a rest day for you. If you don't do that, unfortunately we have to do it tomorrow. If we not do it tomorrow, then a decline. You're going to see a decline, a steadily decline, a slow decline throughout the season, and you're not going to be happy about that. And also the possibility of you getting overuse injuries if you begin playing suddenly. And it happened this season. We had a player that, let's say, at the beginning of the season was not planned to play that much, and suddenly became one of our cornerstones.
Yeah.
And this player was, let's say, devoted enough to do these compensatory sessions, to give her his 100% in the team, and everything. So when the time came to play, she was 100% ready, and she was my, let's say, my example, my real example, and was let's say the motivator for other players to keep doing that throughout the season, because throughout the season you have a lot of ups and downs, you have a lot of changes in the psychology, both like acutely and chronically. And you need strong motivators uh, to trust the process and to follow the process and be consistent throughout the season. And one of them, as I already mentioned, is like the open and honest communication, and also um, for the players to be educated on the risk. If they don't do that, like what is going to happen? Are you aware, that you're going to be more, let's say, in a higher risk of getting injured? Of course, you cannot predict injury, but we have identified parameters and, let's say, factors that that they're going to make you or break you. So one of them is being a constant like load, and don't have like standard increases or decreases in the load. So for me, the key tool, to not go further than that, is having an open communication, and of course to create trust in the players, because when a player see that you really care for him or for her, they're going to give it back to you.
Yeah, that's for sure. And I had Andrew Langford on my podcast a couple of episodes ago from the International Universities Strength and Conditioning Association, and he pointed out that like you and me, we strength and conditioning coaches or sports scientists, we need to know what to adjust, when, and why. And I think if we know that and we can establish the trust of our athletes, then it's really easy to work with them, because you had a prime example of a player who wasn't a starter and then became a cornerstone. And I think it's all built on trust. And if you gain the trust by good work, by blending the theory, the science with the practice, and it works, then you're good to go. And it makes your life, my life, and our athletes' life a lot easier.
100%. And one of the reasons, first of all, I totally agree with you. You said perfectly. And this is one of the reasons why I wanted and I insisted to bring first beat into our system, because first of all, I want for the players to see, you know what, we have, yeah, I can say that we have the best load monitoring system in our country right now. um, we have the best technology, to put it, like, even to be more precise. We have
Yeah.
the first beat, and we have also, let's say, many tools to see how they react to a certain load. And I'm not talking about the internal load. I'm talking about, you had an external load, you had an internal response. This is excellent, but what about you the next day? Like how your body feels the next day. So and this depends a lot about from sleep and nutrition and stress management and many factors. And we also have weld, we have the force plates, and we try to see the changes throughout the time. And we have also um, the simple conversation, which I believe it's the most valid of them all. Like, how do you feel today? So we try to build a system based on objective and subjective parameters, and together through that system to gain trust from our players. Because when you see that uh, a coach or a team of coaches really cares, and not only that really care, but they have the right knowledge and also technology. I believe that the players are much more engaged in the whole process.
Yes, I'm 100% with you at that point. We talked a lot about load monitoring and adjusting training loads with first beat. What about the opposite way? You just mentioned it's also about the day, what comes up next, about fatigue and fatigue management. Can you give me a little insight about how you deal with fatigue during the season?
Yeah, for sure. So actually, this question I like a lot, because I try to identify like what can be manipulated in order for the fatigue to go down, or to manage fatigue in general. And we as strength conditioning coach, we try to bring value in the system. And of course, we are doing things because of the culture, let's say, because other people believe in that, or because we believe in that. And our beliefs, like, my opinion is that they have to be strongly, like, scientifically, to have a scientific background.
Yeah,
So many things throughout the years have been popularized that reduce inflammation, or in general, like, to be more general, like, they uh, act positively on fatigue, reduce fatigue, even better said. But to me, the cornerstones are like a good sleep, good night's sleep. Nothing can get compared to that. Can be
yeah,
compared to that. Good eating habits and good stress management. So when we have a tough day, let's say a tough game, now we don't have days off throughout the postseason. We don't have days off at all, because we play every 3 days. And the game day plus one, it's basically, just coming to the court. If the players that they didn't play haven't done the compensatory session, that they are going to do it then. And for all the other players, it's basically some ice work for the tendons, some, let's say, some mobility work, and that's it. So when they're coming in the court, I'm saying to them, right now what we are doing is not going to reduce fatigue. It's going to take away the factors that they increase it. And what are the
yeah,
factors that they increase it? They actually practice. So we're not going to practice, and this is why you're going to tomorrow game day plus two. You're going to feel much more recovered. So this is what I'm doing. This is what I'm dealing with. But you are dealing with good sleep, with good nutrition, with good hydration. So the mobility work we're doing and everything we're doing right now, it's a very, very small percentage of managing fatigue in general. It's like 1%, 2% doesn't matter. It's not clever from my side to quantify it with a number, but it's a very small percentage. So the cornerstones to me are very clear, and I'm not trying to overestimate all the other methods that may affect the fatigue management. But I know I'm if I'm sure actually that the method can help even 1% or 2%, I'm going to imply it, because in such scenarios, in such demanding scenarios, we're trying to optimize things. So if I see that, let's say, a player believe that the foam rolling, or the massage, or the cold plunge, or the contrast therapy, or whatever is going to do good for her, and I know that the science supports that at least it's not going to affect negatively their bodies, I'm going to be like, yeah, 100% do it. Like, do it, because this placebo effect is huge, and I'm
Yeah.
not going to interfere with it.
Yeah.
Imagine me being like, you know what, this foam rolling is doing nothing for you. Like, I'm coming, a person like me, a strength condition coach, I'm coming and actually try to interfere with your belief systems, and the only thing I'm going to achieve right now is you dislike me. So of course, if a thing affects like negatively the whole process, I'm going to be, you know what, let's talk about that. I'm pretty sure it's not the best thing you can do right now, but if you want to keep doing it, do it with caution, and I will try to manipulate some variables in order to not affect negatively a player. But if a thing at least doesn't do bad, I'm going to be like, if you believe it's doing good for you, do it. 100% do it. But at the same time, I'm going to be very cautious with my players, and I'm going to try to keep them informed about the things that they really work. And again, we're
Yeah.
coming back in like sleep, nutrition, and stress management.
Yeah, but you said it perfectly, in my opinion. The 1 or 2% doesn't matter how many, but they add up during a season, and you know it as good as I do. Volleyball, ice hockey, in every sport, it's a pretty long season. And if you do your homework, if you recover in the right way, if you deal with fatigue in the right way, you will have the benefits at the end of the season in the playoffs. And best example is you with your team. You're in the finals, and it has a lot to do with the right monitoring, with the right management of adjusting the training and the fatigue. So I'm totally with you on that, for sure.
Yes, 100%. I totally believe that the small things are very important, and especially those small things have to be like according to the player's belief.
Yeah.
So if a players like prefer one recovery modality more than the other, yeah, for sure do it. But just
Yeah, it
keep
is
sure
if
that
you
the
do something,
cornerstones are there.
yeah, if you do something each and every day, it makes you better in any way.
Exactly, 100%, 100%.
Yeah. Kostas, time flew by already pretty quickly with this pretty interesting and deep conversation about the role of a strength coach. I have one final question for you. What is one thing that you could or you wish that more coaches would understand about the in-season strength and conditioning?
Yeah, this is a great question. I believe that we as strength coaches, first of all, we try to bring value in what we are doing, and of course, you have to do that because otherwise, we would stay without job.
Yeah,
But at the end of the day, I believe that there are four pillars in strength conditioning, maybe five, and this is strength and power training and speed. Let's put it everything in one bucket. The second bucket would be like the energy system development. The third bucket would be the load monitoring, and the fourth bucket would be the rehab. We can have a fifth bucket, which is like the warm up. And I believe it's a
yeah,
very interesting topic. I'm pretty sure we're going to have a chance to talk about it in the future. But in general, those are the five buckets. So I believe we have to do these things well, but at the same time, I've seen many times that strength conditioning coach interfere with the process and they don't help the process. So the best example of it would be like this huge loads in the gym throughout the season in order for somebody to prove, you know what, I've been in the gym like this week for 7 hours, so I've earned my money. And to me, I believe we should do the opposite. We should like support the system, not interfere with the system. For
Mhm.
example, let's say, as I told you before, I'm a big fan of the microdosing approach. So what the microdosing approach would do is combine the strength conditioning stimuli with a sports stimuli. So if it's an easy day, because we've been talking like when we start the podcast about a week, how a typical week look like. So I would like to take a deeper dive into that with that example. Let's say it's the first day of the week, and
Yeah.
you want to minimize the load on the tendons, and you want to give the players one more day to recover. So we know which kind of modalities are going to help the tendons to gain back stiffness, right? So I'm going to do, let's say, this kind of modalities. The next day after that, we have this high intensity practice but short practice. So I have to potentiate the players for the upcoming demand. So I'm going to have them doing high velocity, high force modalities. And in general, the combination of the stress is something that is very important, because it gives the players the perception that they are doing, let's say, similar modalities in the gym and in the court, let's say. So this is something that I believe is very important, and this is something I follow. I've been following throughout the years in my system, and has given me a lot of good results. So for sure, this one of the things I would say that is very important. Besides that, when comes to our role, I believe that load monitoring is huge. I believe, like our job description, in our job description, the load monitoring thing should be maybe number one. Uh, like having and building a load monitoring system, you don't necessarily need like technology. You can do that through subjective measures like an RP, like multiplying the RP with the time, and then through that you can see like many things like. The weekly increase, the acute chroning, the monotony, and everything. I don't believe in one parameters. I believe in many parameters in order to say a story to me, and to say, like, from my side to say that story to the head coach. So I believe that this thing with a load monitoring is crucial, and with that is going also the energy system development and the compensatory sessions, because of course, like, when you're playing a lot and when you're practicing a lot, most of the times you don't need extra sessions to compensate and to develop. But if you don't, then you need extra sessions to develop your energy system, or to maintain them. So I believe
Yeah.
that those things are going hand to hand. And to close, of course, the whole rehab thing, I believe we have to be educated when it comes to the timeline of like different tissues recovery and how a rehab process should go. Of course, every rehab process is a certain case study, but like some principles are the same. So I believe that a strength conditioning coach should bring value through that. And one more thing, which I didn't say, but it goes hand in hand with the first thing I said about um, the modalities in the gym and the modalities on the court, is how can we approach skills development, and how we can help we as strength conditioning coaches skill development. For example, let's say we have these high intensity practices in which the players, they're going to do a lot of jumping, and they're going to do things of that nature, like high velocity, high force things. So if the coach needs another 20 or 30 minutes in order to warm them up for that, I didn't do my job well. So the warm up in between others should be, let's say, a place for in order to open opportunities for the main part of the practice. So when you do the warm up right, according to the type of practice you're doing in your sport, then your athlete should be able to perform even better in the sport itself, and acquire skill or develop skill, because you already opened them a door of opportunities in the warm up. So when they came in the practice to the practice itself, they're ready to perform in the highest possible way. So yeah, in general, those are the things that I would identify.
Yeah, the thing I really want to start a new whole topic on is, like you just said, the warm-up part. You want your players to be 100% ready when the game starts or when the practice starts. But I think if we open up this new topic about warm-up, and also what I'm pretty interested in is the microdosing, we could talk for another 1 or 2 hours. I think we could save that for maybe a second episode if you'd like. My final thought would
100%.
be, where can people find more about you, your work, or also your team on the internet?
Yeah, so I've been sharing a lot of things in Instagram. Like it's a platform that I've been using for a while now.
Hmm.
Actually, a lot of my past posts are now archived because I try to rewrite them and develop them and give better examples. So in Instagram, I have many posts related to microdosing, energy system development, strength and power training. I don't like to use the term prehab because prehab, I believe it's a blend of them all, like of strength and power and load monitoring and good warm ups and everything. So yeah, in Instagram, I believe it's the best platform to find me. Besides that, people can find like some of my papers, of course, in PubMed if they're interested into the topics of like physical activity and mental health. But like most of my research is on that, is not on the sport itself. So I don't know if it's gonna be appealing to the listeners. But in general, yeah, Instagram I believe is a great platform.
Yeah, I will link your Instagram and also your link to PubMed in the description below. I think we're good to go for now. Like I said, I would love to talk to you again in the future about microdosing and the importance of the right warm up. For now, I would say thanks a lot for your time and the possibility to talk to you a little bit. Good luck in the finals. Good luck also with your PhD, and I hope we will talk again in the future.
Thanks a lot. I really enjoyed it. I also wish you the best of luck in your work. And yeah, we're going to be in touch 100%. I really enjoyed it.
Perfect. Thanks again.
Have a
Bye.
great time.
That's it for this episode of Science and Sports. If you enjoyed my podcast, please subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. Your feedback is very important to me, so I look forward to your ratings and comments on your favorite podcast platform. Feel free to share the podcast with friends, colleagues, and anyone interested in sports science, athletics, performance, and health. Together, we can inspire even more people about this exciting topic.